This is CNN Breaking News.
All right, there is breaking news. We're learning that jailed Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny is missing from prison. His team just posted that his whereabouts are not known. They can't find him at penal colonies. He's been missing for 6 days. CNN's Frederick Pleiken joins us now live with the details here. Fred, what are you learning?
Yeah, very few details at this point in time, John, but we are working on it, and we are getting some actually as things go on. It turns out that Alexei Navalny was supposed to show up from that penal colony that he's been in called IK6, which is a couple hundred miles east of Moscow, this morning, and he simply didn't show up for that. Apparently, originally, that penal colony claimed that there was a power failure there, but it turns out that they simply don't know whether or not he is there. His lawyers say that he is not listed as being in that penal colony anymore. They then went and asked around in other penal colonies and other jails in that region, and they also said that he was not listed as being there, so that's why they're saying that he is missing. And you're absolutely right. It's now been 6 days, they said, since they've known the whereabouts of Alexei Navalny. There was also Friday when his lawyers went to the jail that he's supposed to be in, and he also wasn't there as well. So certainly big concern right now for Alexei Navalny. One of the things that we're hearing from the lawyers is that he was supposed to be transferred to a different jail, to a different penal colony with an even stricter regime than the one that he has already been in, and of course, which has been very hard for him. He's been in isolation, in solitary confinement several times. He's obviously been reprimanded also by the authorities there. He's been on hunger strike. He's had health issues. And now his lawyers say they simply don't know where he is. Right now, they don't know whether or not there's any sort of foul play involved. However, one of the things, John, that we have seen over the past couple of days is that folks associated with the Anti-Corruption Foundation of Alexei Navalny, which of course has been deemed an extremist organization in Russia, they started somewhat of a guerrilla campaign against Vladimir Putin being re-elected as president. It's a political campaign. Unclear whether or not all of this is related. Of course, we do know that just a couple of days ago, Vladimir Putin did announce that he was going to run for re-election on March 17th. Now Alexei Navalny is missing from prison. Whether or not that's connected, we do not know. Certainly, we're trying to get details as to where he possibly could be, and also what those associated with him, his backers, say could be happening here, whether or not they get any new information.
And just to be clear who we're talking about here, Alexei Navalny is a pro-democracy leader within Russia who's had a target on his back for years and years by the Putin regime, imprisoned on what the U.S. absolutely considers are bogus charges, and he's been targeted by, alleged poison attacks before, which indicates or helps highlight why there's so much concern if he can't be found right now.
Yes, severe poison attacks. I mean, if you look at it, he is definitely Vladimir Putin's enemy number one, aside from possibly Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. But certainly, as far as Russia is concerned and inside Russia is concerned and the Russian opposition is concerned, Alexei Navalny far and beyond above anybody else who could be a challenge to Vladimir Putin. And you're right, of course, absolutely. He was allegedly, his backers say, poisoned by the Russian Federation inside Russia in 2020. He was actually then treated right here where I am right now in Berlin, flown to Berlin and then recovered, and then decided to go back to Russia, which a lot of people said was a very daring move, certainly a very controversial move on his part. He was arrested immediately and has since then pretty much had one sentence after another been imposed against him. He says all of that is political, but of course, if that does continue in this way, he's set to spend about 30 years in jail, a little more or less. But one of the things that he has said is he believes that as long as Vladimir Putin is alive, he will not be allowed to leave prison. Whether or not anything else is at play now that he's been missing for several days is simply unknown. But again, he has had an extremely rough time in jail, a lot of time in solitary confinement, John.
It just shows how dangerous Vladimir Putin finds dissent within his country. Frederick Pleiken, keep us posted. Thank you very much.